Welcome to the webinar. Thank you for everyone who joined on time and who is with us today. My name is Kimberly Tucker and I'm the Director of Marketing here at DSD, and I have the privilege of being your event host today, which means I'll be here monitoring the chat for any questions or needs that arise throughout the event. So please feel free to use that feature to engage with us throughout, and we'll address any questions that relate to the product in the Q&A session at the end. As far as our presenters and agenda today, we have Principal Sage 100 Consultant Jim Woodhead and Eric Anderson, our Director of DSD's Sage 100 Consulting Team. So really excited to have these guys. They'll be giving us an overview of this new offering called Sage Partner Cloud, and it's going to be awesome. So we have a lot to show you today, so we'll go ahead and get started. Eric, are you ready for us?
Yeah, thanks, Kimberly. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, sound great.
Great. So this slide just provides some additional information on DSD and what we do. The big picture is that we've helped a lot of small and medium-sized businesses in North America, and our goal is to energize the growth of businesses by pairing smart technology with imagination. And we're proud of the fact that we are one of Sage's top partners, and when it comes to the cloud and moving businesses to Sage Partner Cloud, we were part of an early adopter beta program, and we've actually moved more businesses to Sage Partner Cloud than any other partner. So we have quite a bit of experience with that. And that's part of what we want to talk with you about today, just to share our experience. And I'm sure people are excited to get to the demo section, so we'll kind of breeze through the slides, and then Jim Woodhead's going to demo Sage 100 on Sage Partner Cloud. So why does cloud matter? I think a lot of us are familiar with some of the more obvious talking points on this slide, things like remote workforce, security, compliance. We're going to tell you a little bit about our experience and some specific examples, but at a high level, obviously COVID wreaked a bit of havoc. With an application like Sage 100 that doesn't run well over a VPN, our customers started coming to us looking for other options. And then ransomware attacks became much more common. We've had several customers that were hit with ransomware, were basically totally dead in the water. And rather than rebuilding everything on their local server, they felt like the timing was right to make the move to a more secure hosted environment. And I'm going to let Jim Woodhead chime in right here with a couple specific examples, as he's worked with the majority of our clients that have moved to Sage Partner Cloud. Jim?
Good morning, everyone, or afternoon for those of you in the East Coast. We've had a lot of success with moving people onto there, especially the ones that are using the basics parts of Sage 100 and the General Ledger AP, AR, the distribution modules. We've also actually had a company that's about to go through a merger go on to the cloud, and they're going to be able to use multiple companies on there. Especially as Eric mentioned, the remote access, this is a much better option than using LogMeIn or some of the other VPN or things like that out there. And being able to use Sage as you do now, you know, it's a fantastic transition into the cloud, and it's very easy to do. Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. And we'll talk a little bit more after the. I think we'll save this for after the demo, just about what clients, what customers are a good candidate for Sage Partner Cloud, and who's a good fit. So we'll talk a little bit more on that. So Sage Partner Cloud. What is Sage Partner Cloud? Sage Partner Cloud is it's basically Sage 100, the Sage 100 or Sage 300 application we all know and love, sitting on a virtual machine in Microsoft Azure. And that's pretty much the gist of it. However, Sage has been kind enough to build a provisioning process that configures the virtual server with all the appropriate specs, and also with Sage 100 installed. And this is able to save the partner time and money, which we can pass on to our customers and keep the hosting costs relatively low. And by relatively low, I mean we have yet to run into a deal where we weren't the least expensive option when compared to other cloud hosting providers. As this states, we've already migrated 18 Sage 100 clients over to Sage Partner Cloud, and we started about a year ago. I think it was the end of March was our first client that we moved to Sage Partner Cloud, and it's been ramping up to where we're moving more like 3 or 4 a month these days. So it's very popular. The clients love it, and it's growing fast. So Sage Partner Cloud benefits, these are all great benefits, and we'll talk about each one a little bit more in detail, but I want to focus on the bottom right benefit, which is cost effectiveness. And I'm not going to go into why hosting is less expensive than an on-prem server, even though there's a lot of great data that supports that argument. What I want to discuss is moving to another cloud application, or basically migrating to another ERP system. For some of our customers, it absolutely makes sense to move to a browser-based native cloud solution like Sage Intacct. For others, for various reasons, it just might not be the right time, and it doesn't make sense to make that jump today. So moving to a new solution is typically a pretty big project, and migration costs can add up. So if Sage 100 is working well for you, but you'd just like to realize many of the benefits of a cloud solution, Sage Partner Cloud might be the best answer for you. As far as backups, we have a backup policy in place. Every new Sage Partner Cloud virtual machine that is provisioned is assigned this backup policy. And you may think you have a nightly backup, but the real question is, when is the last time you tested a restore from backup? This is one of the first things we really dove into during the beta testing. We wanted to make sure these backups were easy to find and that we could easily restore from them. So Jim and I did a lot of testing, and the restore process is extremely simple. We can actually just do it right through the Sage portal without even getting into Azure. Common question we have is, will my data be secure in Sage Partner Cloud? I'm not going to spend much time on this other than to say it's pretty safe to assume that your data will be more secure in Microsoft Azure than wherever it is now. We can provide some links that describe Microsoft security measures in detail. As the slide mentions, Microsoft spends over $1 billion per year on security and infrastructure, so it's hard to beat that type of investment in security. This is our favorite part. So how do I access and run Sage 100? Most of our clients run Sage 100 as an application on their PC. So you have your little Sage 100 desktop icon, just like you do now. You click on it, and it opens up Sage 100. And I'm almost finished here, so Jim's going to demo that in a few minutes. If you have a Mac, it will work fine in browser mode. So we have several users running it on Macs as well. So this is just a nice link to be able to test your network speed and connectivity to the data center. And the default region is West US 2. So if you go to this link, it'll just start running some tests. We've been told anything under 300 milliseconds is great, and you can't even notice any latency with the human eye. So anything in green is fabulous, yellow is good, orange is even good. And this typically, speed has not been an issue for any of our clients. So, but it's just a simple way to check if you are worried about your network speed. And another question we get is, what if I need to add more users or server resources? A virtual machine running in Microsoft Azure is very easy to scale up. So if you need more resources, we can typically just make the change overnight when everyone is out, and it's not an invasive or time-consuming process. And how can Sage Partner Cloud be a part of our long-term business strategy? So we've already discussed a lot of this: flexibility, agility, ease of connection, cost savings, security. There's a lot of value and very specific benefits that Sage Partner Cloud offers. And before we jump over to Jim, I know one question we're going to get for sure is, how much does it cost? So I just want to address that now. The licensing portion of it, Sage has made it pretty easy so that the licensing price shouldn't change as long as you are on Sage 100C subscription basis. The hosting portion of it, which is what we provide, DSD, it depends. It depends on the number of users, the complexity, third-party add-ons, integrations. And by number of users, we're talking concurrent users. So that's a big difference to a lot of other applications and or hosting providers. So it's just how many people are going to be in at the same time. That's what we're worried about. So typically we just have a quick scoping call, 30 minutes or less, price out the hosting solution accordingly, and put that proposal in front of you. And like I mentioned before, I think after the demo, after you get a little bit of the look and feel of this, we can discuss who is a good fit. So now we're going to turn it over to Jim Woodhead for a live demo.
Hello, everyone. I'm finding my mouse here. Okay, let me share my screen. So what we do is, let me give you a little look and feel for Sage 100 Partner Cloud. So usually when we install it on the system, the only thing we're going to do is we're going to create an icon on each user's desktop. It's something you can do. If you were to right click on this, all this icon is doing, if I look at the properties, is just opening up Edge and opening up the cloud. So looks and feels, I click it. Now what happens here is it's actually opening up the, click on this, I'm gonna click that twice. It opens up a site. Now I'm already logged in. If I wasn't logged in, I would come up and it would ask me the login right here. And this login is set to be a single sign-on. So once you log in, it's going to automatically take you into Sage. One of the interesting things that we have available is that you have the ability to do two-factor authentication. You can change your password here, your personal details and stuff like this. So you're going to be able to log into this from anywhere that you have the internet. So once you log in, you're going to be presented with your application, and the application is Sage 100, or there's a data drive for you to be able to open up an Explorer window, because all this is saved up on a server. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Sage 100. It's going to go out and it uses RDP access. It does have the capability to use different browsers. We recommend Edge. I think Chromium Edge has the best interface to that on Microsoft, but you can use Chrome or Safari or Firefox, but we recommend Chrome because it has the best capabilities to be able to share your printers and be able to access your local drive to be able to copy information back and forth.
We recommend Edge, right?
Yeah, Chromium Edge.
Oh,
so,
Chromium Edge.
It's a new version of Edge that's coming out. That's out. It used to run on Internet Explorer, but obviously Internet Explorer has kind of been that's being deprecated and being replaced by Edge. So as you can see, I opened up Sage 100. It looks like I'm on my browser on my normal computer. You can see the icon here running it. I can just go ahead and see my normal screen. You'll notice that my login now is over here. It uses a single sign-on. So when you do have your users, they are signed codes, and we will work with you to migrate your current users into the new users. So you will be able to translate any or migrate any lookups you've had under the old system. Those will all migrate over. I know that's been an issue with upgrades and stuff in the past, but we've had really good luck. And matter of fact, we can bring over favorites too if you have a lot of favorites, and we can bring those over. So you get these users, and those will show up here in the bottom. I'm running version 2021. We're due to release 2022 probably in June once it comes out. So in terms of the usability of it, it's like Sage 100. It tastes, looks, feel. It's just if you're running on your local system. Goes out. I feel it's as fast as working on any computer. You know, you can do your lookups. Go over here to AP. You can see again, this is exact performance you're going to have when you go out. I'm going to go out to vendor maintenance, go do my lookup, And one of the nice things is they have the interface out to Office 365. So we recommend that you have an Office 365 license, an E3, so that you can license it to get the full capabilities of Excel. But you can click on Excel, and as you will see, it's going to open up Excel and download it, and it's going to put it up here. Now, this Excel is running from the cloud. So this is the cloud one. It's not your local Excel. But if you want to, you can always save it. You can save it to your local computer, save it to OneDrive, and all that type of information. There was a question in regards to single sign-on. So it's not single sign-on on the Azure. It uses Sage ID. So it's not a true Azure single sign-on. It uses the Sage ID. So when we set up your system, you'll send out an email to each one of your users, and they will create a Sage ID, and then that will be using your that email address to log in. The single sign-on in terms of Sage is once you sign on into the cloud, you won't have to sign into Sage. So you won't have to re-sign in or go to different users once you're in Sage. So hopefully that'll answer that question. In terms of printing and that type of thing, I can go out and do all the normal type activities. For example, if I go to create a invoice, I'll just do a lookup here, pull up Anders Auto, just put in an invoice, put $100 in here, accept, and it's all set up. I hit accept. I'm going to run my journal. It supports paperless office, so let's go ahead and put it into the year that'll allow me to run an update. So it uses paperless office, so all that information is saved. If you want to do a printer, you can see you have your printers down here. It will use all of your local printers that you can see. That's one of the benefits of using the Edge. If you are using one of the other browsers, it does use a system to get through. So as you can see, I get my update, my normal paperless office pops up, and I can do my update. It uses email. I'm using just a common SMTP to email out. So if I, for example, I want to go to sales order, I can jump into sales order here, open up a sales order. Do I have sales order open? Go ahead and open that up right now. Do sales order. Let's say I want to bring up sales order and invoice my customer. I have my invoice here. I'm just going to go print, do my normal print function, electronic deliver it, and print it, and it's going to fire off and send it just like you're working from your home office or your office, wherever you are. So some of the other capabilities are we have complete capability to use Sage Intelligence. So, and one of the nice things, because it's using the Sage Intelligence, you're going to get any user that has the ability, because it's all on one computer, can use it. So I can jump into Sage Intelligence and open that up. It's going to open up Excel and use the Sage Intelligence. I'll just go ahead and do a quick little financial here. Run this. And as you can see, it's running very fast. So everybody should have the same functionality. The only area that it does, if you see any speed differences, is in terms of printing. If it has to put something on your local machine or local printer, it can take an extra second, because it does need to translate that to your local machine. But with paperless office, that speeds that up. So unless you need to print to your local printer, it just depends. But having the paperless office and the PDFs, it works great. So here it comes up. I'm going to close this up. Here's a financial, all up, ready to go. A couple financials that I can go in and have all the data. So it does.
So Jim,
yeah, go ahead.
we just had a couple questions around Sage Intelligence and Excel, and So basically, the way this typically works is if you have an Office 365 license, if it's like E3 or higher, you can install Excel on multiple devices. And so we'd recommend using one of those machine installs to install it on Sage Partner Cloud. And then you have Excel in Sage Partner Cloud, and you can run Sage Intelligence and export anything else to Excel as well.
Yeah, you definitely need you need an E3 or an E5 license. So there are different licenses out there for Office. You can't do just a Business Plus. I know they're changing the names, but you do need to have an E3 license. So that's usually, I think, $22 per user. So it does add a couple dollars, but most companies are moving to Office 365 for the capabilities, Outlook, and all that. But we're going to be using Office, and if you need to kick out to Access or different things, you can do that also.
And then with the paperless Office files, Jim, I'm assuming we typically set that up to save that on the hosted server. Would it be possible to save that on a local drive, or would we just typically just not do it that way?
No, it does save it up in the cloud. It does have, if you are, it does open up. So I'm just going to open up this data drive and kind of show you the look at that. So what happens is this is a server here, and you have your E drive, which is where we put everything, and we have your paperless folder, which puts all your paperless in the system like a normal system. Now, if you wanted to access one of these, you can just click and open it up, and it's going to open up. Or if you want to bring it down to your local machine, then you can copy. And this C drive here is my local computer, so that's going to come out. And normally, what I recommend people to do is create a folder, a transfer folder, so you don't have to wait for it to build your thing, and then you can just go ahead and paste it here. And now that file is on your local machine. So if you need to do it, everything normally comes over. So if you wanted to maybe do some type of process to bring it locally, but right now everything is saved up in the cloud. And that's just from a speed standpoint. You want everything accessible, and especially with some of the new features of Sage, there's a lot of new buttons that Sage has created to be able to drill down into those from the front end. So you want to have those local to that system. Any other questions?
Kimberly's typing one right now, so give her a minute.
All right, yeah. I mean, not related to this actual environment. I'm not sure if you're done with your demo. There's sort of some general.
For those of you, I think the main goal of this is to show you it has a look and feel for Sage. We've done a lot of transitions of people, bring it over. Usually the transition, the migration we will do an upgrade, and we'll upgrade to the latest version of Sage. Maybe we can talk about some of the people. We're mainly focused on the ones that are using the base product. We're working with Sage on some of the connectivity with ISVs. We have started using credit card processing. We're working on Starship right now, so that should be supported. And some of the other things, as time goes on, we're going to work more and more with the ISVs to have them rolled out to make it work. But if you're using Sage right now and you don't have a lot of interconnectivity to other products, I mean, this is a no-brainer to be able to have the safety and the ability to have everything saved. As Eric mentioned earlier, this crypto is crazy. Somebody in your company can open an email, and it can easily just overwrite everything, and you're out of business till you restore. And hopefully your backup works. So
we did have another question come in about if we're currently with another hosting service, can we move over and get out of that? I think that would be a question to maybe bring up with your account manager, see what the term.
Yeah, it's something we need to look at. Some of the other hosting services, obviously, they've been around a little bit longer, so they have some more connectivity with other ISVs, and they've worked through. But this is an easy transition. You can be in the cloud in a week, 2 weeks, to be able to have it. I was talking to a company yesterday that they're all working from home and they're using LogMeIn to get in their system. And I was trying to help them, and it took a minute for screens to open. I said, oh my gosh, there's no reason for that. You know, it's an easy transition over. You have all the same functionality that you have. You bring over everything, so it's really it gives you that security and the safety that you really need to have with Sage 100, and with the backups, knowing that that's happening and all the capability, it's fantastic.
Yeah, so like we mentioned, we've moved 18 customers so far, and it's progressing. Been very pleased with the outcome. I think the customers have been extremely happy with the move. So if you have questions, I think, Jim, anything else you want to show before we put up the
No, I
contact
think we're good. Like I said, you have all the same functionality capabilities, and you know, you can go home one day and be on the cloud coming the next day. So that's what our goal is, to make it easier. You know, you have all the capabilities of Sage you have right now, and in terms of service packs and upgrades, we're working with you on that. But the upgrades are going to be easier, and service packs are easily loaded. We're really excited about this product.
So one real quick, the question I think relates to maintaining the server. This attendee says, assume part of the hosting cost is that Sage maintains the server as far as server patching and etc. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yep. We're checking periodically for any required updates for the server. So yeah, the server will be kept up to date.
And it's managed by DSD manages that as opposed to Sage. So Sage is not directly touching that machine. It's going through DSD. We're working with you and with Azure to make sure that server's patched up and fully protected.
Yeah, that's a good point to call out. Is that Sage? It's called Sage Partner Cloud. Sage provisions it initially, like I mentioned, with the correct specifications, with Sage 100 installed. After that, DSD is the hosting provider. So we have access to those virtual machines in Azure. We can make sure the backup routines are running properly. We can make sure the server's getting the updates it needs and those types of things.
Perfect. One more question. Are custom mods supported yet? And how many concurrent users does this scale out to?
The answer is yes. I mean, we've been using all the DSD enhancements. If there are certain customizations by other third parties, I'll be running ops management on here. So if you have some those types of things, anything that's installing and running through the Sage, we've had pretty good luck with. We haven't any issues with. And what was the other question? It was related to
how many concurrent users?
Oh, so we've had, I think right now we have a 15 user, but you know, it's like your normal system now. We can spin up and turn that machine and get more power to it. We've been finding, because it's only running Sage, you know, you can have as many licenses right now that you purchase from Sage. So you know,
and we've deliberately taken more of a crawl, walk, run approach to this since we were an early adopter. So we've been taking simpler clients at first and moving them. And now after a year of this and really no issues, we have a lot more confidence. So we're starting to look at more complex, larger user counts. And if you are interested, talk to us. We'll tell you if you're a good fit.
One more thing, it does use Sage Standard, which you might say, oh my God, everybody uses advanced, but standard has less overhead for when you're running. You're running it on the server, so you can have the same performance that you have with advanced. And they're likely going to be running out a premium version or a SQL backend. It's going to be coming out in the future. So any of those people that want to have SQL, that's something that's going to be coming down the road. But right now it's running in the standard format, but you know, it has the same functionality that anybody has right now.
Perfect. One more question. Are any of our current clients on Sage Partner Cloud using ROI Instinct?
Not yet, but we are working with somebody who is looking at that. But we don't have anybody using ROI at this point yet.
Typically, our process has been reach out to the vendor, like ROI, ask them if they foresee any issues being in this Azure environment. And then if they don't, and they're willing to help us support it, we'll do an upgrade or a move to the cloud. We'll do a pilot and make sure everything works. And then we'll do a final migration and you'll be good to go.
Great. There was another, are paperless office files saved on the hosted server?
Yes, everything is saved on the server. So that's all backed up and all it's all safe on the server.
Okay, we've run into our time allotment here today. So if no one has any other questions, we can go ahead and close.